Hola Antonio, ¿cómo
Hola,
está?
Alan. How are you? Muy bien. Very good with
Uh,
my coffee.
muy
And
bien.
yours, I believe.
I'm going to drop my
You
input
too.
a little bit because I'm looking at my waveforms and they were looking a little square at the top. And now that should be better now. I'm very good. It's great to hear
Oh,
you. And um, thanks for setting this up and sort of keeping us on task better than I did.
uh, well, I'm happy. I'm happy we're doing it again, and to have a sort of periodical conversation with you, and it's really nice. It's really nice. It keeps me in a way. How can I say, in sync with at least a part of the world that goes beyond my classrooms and little home space, which under COVID is being a little bit. It's behaving like a little
Yeah, I was
cell, you know.
thinking of several things. First of all, I think we cut our so the time length between like in a waveform between the peaks of a curve is the period. So we went from I think 6 months down to one. So I think we're doing well.
Yeah,
And
but yeah, indeed. Well,
it
it
got
got
better.
better.
So
Let's say
have
that way.
in that month has anything changed there in terms of the COVID situation or just and life as general? Yeah.
Well, not really. Not really, because we have a
Okay.
number of cases which are likely but not certified. And that means that the government cannot take a firm decision if, and it's a pretty, it sounds comical because depending on those numbers, on how they turn up, we may be in a sort of an
Hmm.
orange a situation or in a green situation. So it's really either everything is fine or everything is going bad. So we don't know until I hope as soon as possible, but
Do
no
you
new data has come up in the past days. So I hope they
do you
solve
have
this
access to
conundrum.
testing as needed?
I suppose so, yes, but there has been a sort of, let's say, mismatch in the processing of samples and whatever. So we actually went from zero to a lot of samples every day, also thanks to an organization in Puerto Rico named Ciencia Puerto Rico that sort of allied with itself with a number of labs, and so they began processing a lot of samples every day. But there's a huge lab facility, which actually I think um, it has several labs in the island, or at least in the metropolitan area, and they work well, but they're having some issues with the samples and the processing of the samples. Processing meaning not just the lab processing the analysis, but the record keeping and the surrendering of
Okay.
records to the government, to the health department. So that happened, and so the government did not have the enough data on time, and so they could not say, "Look, we can relax a little bit more," or not. But in any case, we only have a lockdown from
Hmm.
10 p.m. to 5 a.m. every morning. So, except some restaurants who have to close and people have to stay there to close. So it's a certain kind of works. The rest of the people, we are home by 10 p.m., and that's pretty fine. At least we can buy wine or beer, so with no problem. Also on Sundays, so that's good. And what else? And cinemas did open again. Not theaters, but cinemas did. So there are a few cinemas open now. I used to check the programming every Thursday, and since March I haven't been doing that, and we haven't gone to the movies. Actually, I love going to a movie theater, but
Yeah, I
it was,
would.
of course, impossible to do so. So I hope to being able to
Okay, so you
to
ready?
to do
Have
that
you
again soon.
been dining out at all, or you're still eating? Okay, good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, practically no. I lost any appetite for doing that, I have
Yeah.
to say. I mean, what's the point of going to a place and wear a mask? And I mean, if it were outdoors, al fresco, I may do so in some place. And actually, we did so a couple of times. We went to the beach, so we ate outside, so that's okay. But here, no, and I don't have any wish whatsoever to order and have food being brought home. I don't like that at all. So I prefer to cook at home,
Yeah,
and
we're not
that's it.
interested in going inside. We do order and take
Yeah.
out occasionally, but that whole bit has changed. I was going to ask if what was the name of the taco place you took me to? Are they open?
Oh, yes, they are. It's called,
Yes,
wait a second, El
El Vagon.
Vagon. Yeah, it's a nice place, and they actually are well organized, and they reopened. And we went a couple of times, and we took out food
Right.
and brought it home. Yeah, we
And
did actually.
have there been
It's good.
any cases at Sagrado, and what's their strategy for dealing with?
Well, thanks for asking. No, that I know of, they would of course inform
Mhm.
the community immediately. So there was no case. They have a very very good policy and implementation of that policy. So yesterday I went on campus because the provost had the good gesture of making a gift of two books to each of the faculty on teaching strategies. So I went there to pick the books up. So it was the first time I could really try the control strategy. First of all, we have a questionnaire that comes twice a week, and we have to answer the
Hmm.
questionnaire on Monday and on Thursday. Based on the answers of the question, it's very simple, and so you really it takes 15 seconds to complete it. Based on the answers, you get a return certificate that you have to show at the entrance. So you have a QR code plus the certificate. Every time you go in, you have to show both
Oh, that's
things,
good.
and in that way, yeah, they're clever because they got the tracing of when you enter and when you get out of the university, you need to show the QR code
Right.
again, so they know when you get out, and so that's very smart, I think.
Yeah.
And secondly, they installed a number of gel dispensers around the campus. They installed a number of little soap and water wash basins outside bathrooms. I mean, in the campus, so you can actually wash hands in the open air, and that's good also. Plus, in every building, at the entrance of every building, they put a sort of an arch that sprays when you enter the building. It's you have to stay there 10 seconds and it sprays on you. It actually, I mean, it's not that good smelling odor, but it's a disinfectant. So that's also a reassurance of the healthy measures.
That
So I think that they're pretty well covered.
Yeah, that's impressive. In general, around San Juan, are people are what's the mask wearing sort of like vibe or
Well, you have to wear a mask
okay, okay,
in open air when you are outside. I do wear it, but for instance, let's say I'm walking and the street is void of people around me, then honestly I take it off for 5 minutes, because also when it's hot and humid, respiration is not that easy. So in those circumstances, when I'm absolutely sure there's nobody around me, I take it off for 5 minutes, then I put it on again. And if there's a crowded area or there's people around me, then I always wear the mask. And I have seen that people usually have their masks on. So
that's good. I'm just wondering because,
not
like,
all, but
because in parts of where I am now, and I hear word from back in Arizona where I used to live. I mean, there are people who are protesting against wearing masks, like it's a violation of their freedom, um, which sounds ridiculous. But we've gone way past the um, the criteria of what counts as ridiculous these days. Oh, I was just asking that question,
oh,
trying to get a sense because there have been some towns in Canada, and I hear from places where I used to live in Arizona
yeah,
that
that's
there are
true. And
people who are
I guess
protesting against wearing
here
masks. That
too we have
they
some
claim it's a
people who
violation of
think
their
that
rights,
way.
and
Now,
that just seems
I was
ridiculous. But
discussing
like
about
what we
this
call
stuff with
ridiculous
my
anymore
wife
almost
and
has no
friends,
relevance.
and we don't agree. We all, but I have we have the feeling, at least my wife and I have the feeling that this is a huge. I'm not talking about masks specifically, because I do agree that masks and hand washing and social distancing are proper measure to withhold at this time. But I'm talking about the limitations of liberty that we were undergoing one way or the other. Now they're a little more relaxed than before, but it's been over 6 months of that sort of, you know, regime, and it's pretty burdensome. So we were wondering if there is a real need about being so strict, um, given that the numbers say, the statistics say that um, really a
Hmm.
very little number of people get in bad shape if infected. So and that means that if you take precautions and you don't party like it's the 70s, and keep your distance, and do the good kid, wash your hands, etc.,
Hmm.
you have a good chance of being protected. And so that's the point that we're asking ourselves. The Peruvian writer, this Mario Vargas Llosa, has has written recently that he fears that the limitations of freedom will be reversible in many cases, and we get used to um, being commanded and deprived of those freedoms. And also, the freedom of the press in a way feels like, um, in our democracies at least, they don't have censorship, but they auto censor themselves in the sense that they believe they must comply with what the governments say, etc. So they may fall under this behavior, and that would be worrisome. So, institutions, generally speaking, and government and enterprises may all fall under this spell in a way. So, not to discuss the from within the general measures that are being taken because it's a good policy, and that is sort of worrisome in a way. I mean, we live in a world that are almost in unrecognizable from 1 year ago, and I'm happy that some circumstances are, uh,
Hmm.
are taking shape under our own eyes, and we are looking at the effects of our perhaps Western or global structures. And actually, I'm very glad that the Pope himself, in Saint Francis' tomb, he said a couple of days ago. I'm not usually a follower, but he said that the COVID-19, etc., is one of the results in a way of this bad capitalism that we have, and in a way that's true. So I think that all such things are getting seen at least, and since nobody can accuse him of being a communist, then people start paying attention to these issues, to these things. I think that's good.
Hmm. Right. Yep. Yep. So maybe switching because I want to talk, if you're okay, like your thoughts on using this Zencaster tool that we're using. Um, I started using it for some podcasts that I'm doing with my work with Open Education Global. I started a new podcast series there that I haven't blogged about, but I went to using this because we have sometimes multiple speakers, and so the tool in Skype that I use really only works separate sound into two channels. And with Zencaster, if you have five people in a call, you get five audio files, which makes the editing much easier to do, etc. But also, I like that when you invite someone here to do a session, you don't have to they don't have to log into anything, um, and then they can just show up, and so it's very good for interviews.
Indeed, I agree, and thanks for sharing that with me too. We tried it with my students last week, and it went very well. In fact, it was an experiment for us, and I said so. And we were afraid that the echo we were experimenting would pass on to the Zencaster recordings, but it didn't. So they were as clean as humanly possible, and that's amazing. So it was really good, really.
Right, because I think you probably were. Did you start in Zoom?
Yes, and I had not thought of that problem in advance. And what happened was that we were recording in class. So I wanted people
Yeah.
to hear the four students that were recording, and if they shut off their microphones volume in Zoom, nobody would have heard them. So at least I could not think of an immediate solution to that problem, and we had some echo that eventually by mid recording went down, so was minimized, but still we did have some echo, and I have no idea how to solve that problem. The only thing that I will do is that do
Yeah.
not record while within Zoom. That
Yeah. Yeah. Because, sorry, because what I've been doing with this podcast, one of my colleagues recommended this when we were setting this up, is that we ask our guests, we meet first in Zoom and just touch base because most of these are people I've never met before. And then what I ask them to do is to mute their mics in Zoom, um, establish the link in Zencaster, but then go back to keeping the Zoom in view because um, I, I mean, my hunch is it feels a little bit more comfortable so that you can see the other people you're talking to. Whereas here,
yeah,
I'm
sure,
just looking at the
that's true.
waveforms. Um, but because but because you and I have known each other a long time, we spent time together. I don't really have like a disconnect feeling. Like I can picture you in my mind, and this environment works. But I find that for these sessions where we don't really know each other, it helps to not like concentrate because I'm just looking at you're looking at squiggles on the screen here, and I think it's better from kind of a human perspective that we can see each other. Of course, being willing that everybody's okay with that. So, like, I'm doing one tomorrow with we're featuring a student from a college in Maryland, and we'll have her teacher too. Um, and so we still will do this, but I always ask, first if people are okay with the video part because I just never want to say like you have to do the video. Um, but I just was curious about your thoughts about that sense of presence that you want to try to establish when you are not together.
I'm losing you. Oh,
I wonder if I lost you a little bit. You seem to be blinking out. I think maybe has your connection been blinking out?
yeah, the connection is. I don't know what's happening, but sometimes I lose you. Fortunately, I don't think that Zencaster actually loses anybody, so we will have the recording, but I'll have to review it later.
Yeah, that happened when our one we did before when your network
Mm,
went down. I was worried it would be lost, but when got the Zencaster, um, it was pretty much in sync. There's a little bit of maybe
mm.
overlap in one area, but it's. Um, I imagine though what it's doing is it's just recording each one of
Yes,
these
yes,
separate, and the artifacts that we're hearing when one of us drops out are more in the network's
yeah,
dynamics of listening at the same time. So they must do something to give um, more attention or um, programmatically, algorithmically preference to the
yes,
recording
yeah.
side of
I'm sure
things.
it must be that way. So basically, I don't know if I lost the key point, but you're saying that if we mute the Zoom microphone, and how do we have sound go to Zoom also when we record?
Yeah, that would be a little bit tricky. You'd have to get into some of those
Ah,
applications that Jim Groom and the people doing DS26 radio do to create like virtual audio
yeah,
channels
or
um,
perhaps share
to
the
sort of
window with the screencaster and check the mark with pass the sound from the application to Zoom. That could be a way, perhaps. That could be.
yeah, yeah, maybe.
I
I don't think you don't
Yeah.
I don't think you want to get into like putting the Zencaster recording back into
Yeah,
the Zoom
yeah. Well,
archive.
in any case, I
Um,
had the the most episodes will be recorded by students on their own. So we recorded the first one in class. I had the
right.
idea to record another one, perhaps the third, in class, just to help them out in a way. So, but if it's complicated with eco, then I will simply leave it to them uh, and then solve problems if they have, you know. But still, it's a very good tool, I have to say. And the 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 tracks are surprisingly in sync once you import them into the Audacity, for instance, and they're very easy to work with. So I'm very happily
Yeah.
surprised with that. That's very good. Yeah. So
Me too. And
yeah, me too.
I'm
Yeah,
using the
yeah.
free version.
So I wanted to ask you one thing about your photo habits and a photo every day. I know we already are over the 20-minute mark, but who cares, right? So you posted about it a few days ago, or yesterday, or day before, and I found that post very very nice actually, about the fact that you had missed a couple of days, and the year didn't sound complete in a way, no?
Yeah, but I think
Wow.
out of the this is my 13th year. I think maybe twice I've been perfect. So it's not about like that you
Sure.
have to get one every day. I think it's just that you try to. Um, so, I mean, I what I found was I take my photos every day, but with being busy and doing other things, I've been finding that I get to push them to Flickr maybe once a week. Sometimes I think I had a gap where it was like 20 days of catch up. Um, but again, there's like no rule there, and so it's not like there's a right way or wrong way to do this. And so I just was going to try to make a concerted effort to try to get back to posting them every night. And I don't know if I will. I don't know if it matters really. But that was just me like, you know, trying something different in the approach. And so if I say I'm going to try to post every night, um, and then I
Sure.
even might write a
But
blog post about it, well, that's going to add up. I don't know if I'll be able to keep up that pace. But like you just said,
yeah,
who
sure.
cares about 20 minutes or, that you do it every day? It doesn't, it's it's
Right.
your thing, it's not a class. There's not a rule. I'm not going to fail life if I don't post things every day. But it's the act of taking that time um, away from everything we do, just to notice something or to take a walk, and you know I know how much you enjoy your walks to campus, um, because it gives you that thinking time. But there's also something to just taking that dedicated time to be noticing and looking for something that might make an interesting picture. That's like one of my still my favorite thing to
Indeed.
do.
I love it. I love the way you do it. Actually, I like the metaphor of doing one little thing every day and share it. That's also a very nice thing, and so I do like it very much indeed, and I like the easygoingness of your doing it. Also, I think that's a very nice stuff to do
Well, thank you. And
indeed.
I think just, you know, in this unprecedented time, um,
Uh,
that it's important to sort of like um, not unravel and to find something, whether it's it's cooking for some people, it's doing regular walks, it's people who go out and do their bike rides or their regular exercise. It's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's like
I
it's like the movie City Slickers when Curly the cowboy says it's just one thing. You got to find that one thing that
indeed,
matters.
indeed, no, no, that's true. It's a one moment or little space in time that you take for yourself, for your art, your whatever, your fitness, or whatever the reason. It's a nice thing, and I in fact, and it's a sort of also, if I may, a routine that, at least in my case, I know that one of the compelling reasons I like this sort of routines, even if sometimes I don't do them for a long number of days. The reason comes from my grandfather, actually, who took me to walk with him when I visited, and or he came home. So we had this stroll every afternoon, and if we did in the morning, then he went every day to buy his newspaper at the newspaper kiosk. Then we went to a bar to sip coffee. Well, I took an orange juice, and he took his coffee. And I loved that daily stuff that he showed me to he loved too. So from that, I took to walk every day, and I love it. And I took the habit of reading a newspaper or two every day. And actually, when I don't do that, the interesting thing is that I miss it, and I feel that I miss it. So it's nice. Everybody, I think, has their own way of doing some daily stuff, right? You agree?
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean the other thing for me that helps is doing a daily dog walk, and
Yeah,
I've had a
yeah,
great
yeah,
time
sure.
noticing in social media how many people have taken to adopting puppy. Um, you know, Audrey Waters and Chris
I'm
Gilliard are
sorry, I
two.
again.
Chris Lott, I just saw,
Oh,
got a new puppy, and so I think dogs are something everybody should have.
Alan, I lost you. Okay. Now I'm hearing you again.
And we seem to be fluttering a
Okay.
little bit.
Uh, it. Yeah, I think it's back on.
I
Okay.
think the internet gods are saying something about. I think I think the internet gods are saying something
Yeah,
about
well,
being
it's
over
34,
20
almost
minutes.
35. Yeah. Well, I think it's time to wrap it up then. Even also because the quality of my connection seems
Okay.
not to be that good. I don't know why. I'm sitting down in one room and everything is fine here. I got a better connection than 1 month ago. They doubled actually my bandwidth. So, and I installed a mesh repeater inside the house, and everything worked better except today. That's amazing, right? No, it's always variable. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the crux
it's always
of
variable.
our classes these days. I'm sure you'll feel the same thing. You have many students
Yep.
who say they have a bad connection, or their connection doesn't work or something like that. How the technical side for you? Oh, okay. I
Well, I'm not teaching right now, so I've not had too many. But I would say, like, considering the amount of synchronous activities that we're doing, I'm
that's
rather impressed
a
that
good
the whole
observation.
internet
Yeah,
hasn't like
indeed, I
fallen
am
over.
too. I thought the net narrative. You were doing some class now on it, but it isn't so, right? Ah, okay. You did that.
No, 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 no.
Okay.
Sometimes I tweet something.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's usually in the spring. It's usually in the spring,
Great.
but I don't know if it's going to
Well,
happen.
so how's the is it cold already up there?
We have seen below freezing a few nights, but we've had some mild. This week has been very mild, so I'd say it's been in the
Oh.
the 60s in Fahrenheit. Um, um, but
Uh, oh, you know that we've had a couple of spots in the mountains here with 60s, low
hmm,
60s
yeah.
temperature on the island. So the fall has come.
Oh yeah, yeah. The
Winter
leaves the
is
leaves have
coming.
changed. I'm looking at the big
Yeah.
ash tree in my backyard, and most of its leaves are gone. Um, but yeah, a lot of the leaves have already turned here.
Uh, yeah. That's it. It's coming. Well, I hope that the fall version of the
Yeah.
COVID will stay at bay, and a little bit controlled. And let's see if we can do one episode
Yeah.
close to
Yes.
election time.
Yes. That
That would
sounds
be
good.
fun. Huh? So I had a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, but I will do that in our next episode. So we maintain our followers, thousands of followers, interested
Yes,
in
they
the
are
next
clamoring
episode,
for
right?
more.
I love that. All right. So, Alan, it's been great to talk to you.
And it's been great talking to you, Antonio, always.